الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praises be to the One, the Creator, the Sustainer of the heavens and the earth. And may Allah's peace and blessings be upon His final messenger Muhammad. I bear witness there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. And I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, is His final messenger. Dear respected brothers and sisters, please forgive me. I'm recovering, so my voice isn't as good. And we have Senator Kane with us, who's been campaigning. I'm sure his voice is also suffering from all the campaigning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in Surah Ali Imran, chapter 3, verse 104. Let there be among you a community calling to the good, enjoining what is right, and forbidding what is wrong. It is they who shall prosper. Brothers and sisters, one of America's greatest martyrs, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, he once said, I'm for truth, no matter who tells it. I'm for justice, no matter who it is for or against. I'm a human being, first and foremost, and as much I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. I attended this week a gathering at Temple Rodef Shalom. It's a Jewish synagogue that is our neighbor a little bit down the street. And the senior rabbi, Rabbi Amy Schwartzman, was giving a speech regarding the Jewish brothers and sisters who were gunned down, murdered in Pittsburgh. The one thing that caught my attention was while they had 11 murdered in Pittsburgh, they remembered the 2 that were murdered in Kentucky. African American brothers and sisters who were also gunned down simply for being black. Just like the Jewish brothers and sisters were gunned down simply for being Jewish. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, reminds us, O you who believe, stand, be witnesses for Allah, standing firmly for justice, and let not the hatred of a people take you away from justice. Be just. This is closest to piety. Our role as Muslims is the role of justice. And justice, brothers and sisters, isn't equality. Equality is important, but equality without justice is not right. We should stand for justice. We make equal now, but we should make sure that we are just in dealing with people. You know, on the internet, there's this great picture. I wanted to have it up, but unfortunately, it's my fault. I didn't prepare with my brothers and sisters in the administration. But it's a picture where you have 3 kids that are trying to watch a baseball game. And all 3 of the kids are standing and there's a fence in front of them. And all 3 of them are standing on a box. One of the kids, he's quite tall, so he can see the game. One of the kids, he's medium height, so the fence is literally right at his nose, so he can barely see. And the smallest kid, the young man, the youngest of them, is very short. So he's standing on the box, but the fence is in front of him. So this is equality. They're all equal. They all had a box to stand on, but this is not justice. Justice would mean that all 3 of them would be able to see the game. Justice requires that this tall person that's already standing up high gives that box to the young one so that he can stand on another box and see. This is justice. So they may be equal. We are all equal in this society. But it doesn't mean that this society is just, and this is what we as a community must always strive towards. We as a community must call for justice for those that are harmed. Must call for justice for those that have been wronged. It is not just that one of our African American brothers and sisters has to worry every time they get pulled over by a police officer. It is not justice that a child doesn't have a right to the same school in Fairfax County if they're going to Justice High School, right next door, versus McLean or the other high schools on the western part of the county. That's not justice. Justice means that we give everyone the rights that they deserve. That we allow people the opportunity to make a difference. That we don't make the game skewed for one group or another. A man once was sent from Byzantium. You know, during the time of the Caliph Umar, the great empire was the empire of Byzantium at the time. It was the great Roman and the great Persian empire. And the man was sent as an emissary from the emperor of Byzantium to see who these upstarts are, these Muslims. Right? During the time, Umar was the caliph after the death of the Prophet Muhammad by about 2 years, 3 years. And the emissary came to Medina. And he asked, he's like, "Where's your emperor?" And the companions, you know, they look like, we don't have an emperor. He said, "Okay, so who's your ruler?" So he said, "Oh, that's Umar, the caliph." He said, "Okay, where is he?" So he said, "Well, you'll find him on the outskirts of Medina, on the outskirts of the city." So they described to this emissary where they could find Umar bin al-Khattab. And the emissary, he walks and he finds a man sleeping under a tree with simply a rucksack that he has placed for himself as a pillow. And the emissary asks, "Who is this man?" And is told, "This is Umar. This is the caliph of the Muslims." And he thinks to himself, and it is narrated that he told the man that was with him, "You are content because you were just. And because you were just, you felt safe enough to sleep under this tree without protection, without anyone watching over you." This is the history that we aspire to. This is the role model that we push for. It is this same caliph that when he approached the gates of Jerusalem, and the Christian patriarchs of Jerusalem who came to give him the keys of the city, when he was traveling to Jerusalem, he was traveling with his servant. And he would take turns sitting on the donkey with the servant. So when they approached the city of Jerusalem, it was the turn of the servant to be riding the donkey. And the servant said, "Oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, oh, master of the believers, how do I ride? How do I enter the city? And you're the caliph." He said, "No, this is just. You've been walking, now it's time for you to ride." And the Christian patriarchs, they thought that the servant was Umar bin al-Khattab. They came to give the servant the keys of Jerusalem. And when he found out, the patriarch then gave a tour to Umar bin al-Khattab of the church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is the most sacred site to Christianity. This is the site in the Christian tradition where Isa alayhi salam in the Christian tradition was crucified and risen. And it came time for Umar to make his Asr prayer. And they made a space for Umar radiyallahu anhu. And he refused to pray. He said, "If I pray here, I'm afraid people that come later would want to build a mosque here. And if you go now to Jerusalem, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring justice to that city and to the people of Jerusalem. If you go to Jerusalem, you exit the gates of the church of the Holy Sepulchre and you look in front of you, there is the mosque of Umar. Because he went to another place to pray so that we would not be unjust as believers, as Muslims, to our Christian brothers and sisters and destroy one of their holy sites. This is justice. This is what we as Muslims should be calling for in our society. When our Jewish brothers and sisters are attacked, we stand with them. When someone attacks someone who is African American for their skin color, we stand with them. When someone does something wrong from our community, we stand against them and we say, this is wrong. This is justice. Let there be a people amongst you who call for good and forbid what is evil. So how do we get there? Again, I go back to a foremost role model Muslim in our society, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X. He said the greatest mistake of the movement has been trying to organize a sleeping people around specific goals. You have to wake the people up first, then you'll get action. Brothers and sisters, are we awake yet? Are we awake? Have we realized the dangers that exist in our society, not just for us, but for our children? For future generations of American Muslims. We were just part of a study where we looked at the society as a whole and their perception of American Muslims. You'd think that our community in Northern Virginia, in the DC area, would be open, but we found that 50% of the greater community in the DC area does not think that Muslim values jive with American values. This is our failure. We can't root ignorance out if we stay in the masjid. We can't root ignorance out if we don't stand to change the ignorance in our society and educate. This is our role. This is our challenge today. I have two people that I'm going to recognize in our audience with us today who said, I'm going to stand. I'm going to make a difference. One of them is standing back there at the door. Brother Muhammad Saif. He's a member of this community. He prays with you here. He decided that it doesn't make sense that people don't have affordable housing in Alexandria. He decided that it doesn't make sense that minorities are not represented in a diverse city such as Alexandria. And he said, I'm going to run. I'm going to make a difference. He raised the least amount of money. Of all the candidates, he raised the least amount of money. And he came in third. And inshallah, in 4 days, he is going to be your next city council member in Alexandria, because he stood up and said, I am willing to make a difference. This is what it means to stand up and say that I'm here to make a difference. Another brother sitting with us, Brother Ibrahim Sumaira, a dentist, decided that we need to make a difference in Loudoun County, in the Herndon area, and said, I'm going to run and make a difference. I'm going to run, and he's running for a seat that's going to be coming up. And you're going to be spoken to very shortly by our senator, Senator Tim Kaine, who says that it doesn't make sense that people of color, that Muslims are not treated respectfully and as Americans in this society. And you'll hear it from him. But this is what it means to stand up. We as a community need to make a difference together. So each and every one of us have a task. And you know I always end my khutbahs with the practical. What do? Number one, be a part of a movement of enjoining good and forbidding evil. What that movement means is you call 5 people, and you say, today we're going to go vote together. Today we're going to go make a difference. If you count how many people are sitting in this hall right now, It's probably 1,200 people that are listening to me. If 1,200 people say that we're going to make a difference, that's 6,000 people. Brothers and sisters, ask any pollster. 6,000 people in an election is a difference. And it doesn't just stop with the elections. After the elections, we go and speak to Senator Kaine. And we say, Senator, this is what we want as a community. We go and speak to our delegates, to Don Beyer, to Jerry Connolly, our representatives. We go speak to our state delegates, but we go and make a difference. 5 people. Get out the vote. That's number 1. Number 2, we're going to be walking around near Adams Center out in Loudon tomorrow, inshallah, from 10:30 to 12:30. To just walk and knock on people's doors and just say, hello, peace, I'm a Muslim, I want you to come and vote with me. I want you to vote. That's it. We're not telling anyone who to vote for. Just say, vote. Get out. We may disagree, brothers and sisters, but we have to be in the process. And this is what it means. So tomorrow, if you're interested, and Sunday we're doing the same thing. Sign up in the office. I've committed that we'll have 30 brothers and sisters from our community to be getting out the vote. And just like I committed 200, we had 230, we should have it inshallah. So please, after your prayers, go and sign up. That's number 2. On election day, which is Tuesday, I will be here at the Dhuhr and Asr prayers. And 2 or 3 brothers have committed that we will drive people to the polls. We're calling it Souls to the Polls. If you're here for Dhuhr and you have time, it'll take 30 minutes. The local polling station is Justice High School, formerly Jeb Stewart. We're going to be driving people, and my sisters, this is for you also. We need 2 or 3 sisters to volunteer, but we have to volunteer and make a difference. Brothers and sisters, this is our role, our duty as American Muslims in this society. This is our role, our duty as Americans to call for good and change, and see when we see something wrong, we seek to change it. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us what is true as truth and guide us towards it, and to show us what is false as falsehood and guide us away from it. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to heal our hearts and our minds and to bring our community together. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us a force of good and justice in our society. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us raise our voices for justice always. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us all. Brothers and sisters, after the prayers, please wait for 5 minutes. We're going to hear from our Senator Tim Kaine. He is running for re-election again and has been our senator and our former governor for some time. So give him a few minutes of your time. And as I said in the past, we as a masjid don't endorse candidates, but we allow for our candidates to come speak with us always. So we'll welcome Senator Tim Kaine after the salah, inshallah. Aqim as-salah.